I want people to get to know you. It's the first thing comes to your mind. It has to be Back to the Future.
It's gonna be Braveheart or something like that.
Nightmare Before Christmas. The Passion of Christ. Anything Mel Gibson. I'm trying to get somewhere with this and get back to you, but...
Well, Firefly, so that just popped in my mind, Firefly. I don't know if I can say it because it would make me tear up. It was Anne Murray. The Songbird song. It was my mother's favorite song. Well, I'm not that important. I'm just a timekeeper.
I want favorite food.
Thai food. Pad see ew.
Mine's a hamburger. Cheeseburger.
Gaming.
Gaming right now?
Yeah. 53-year-old gamer.
Or was music not a hobby? All right, I'll play.
Well, that's how music started for me. Music was like an all right, you know.
I'm not sure. So, when we're younger, our style is reflected by what kind of music that we listen to.
You know, there was a period of time when all I did was just pick what was on the mannequin and you know, at the store.
J.C. Penney.
Yeah, Miami Vice. You know. But then I went through.
But that's 80s.
Yeah. But then I went into the 90s, especially when I was with you for a while. Kind of went through that lumberjack thing, hiking boots, and
So that's grunge.
Yeah, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Without knowing it, I was
flannel,
grunge.
the flannel thing. Yeah.
I was grunge without knowing it.
The big boots, that's grunge. You weren't wearing like mohawks.
No, I wasn't in the punk scene, but I enjoyed punk music. Well, I remember too when we would just do a show and you would say, "Stop dressing up. You need to dress down."
Yeah.
You know,
like let's everybody wear black.
Well, that's what I ended up doing all the time anyway. Just jeans and a black shirt and short hair, and you said I looked like a Marine. Dress had reflected my music. Now I don't know how I'd find the clothes. I'd have to go to thrift stores or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd be dressing like Enya, right?
Yeah.
Long flowing gown.
Blackmore's Night or something.
Yeah, you're wearing a kilt. There is a kilt shop down the street.
You're right. I was good in school, but I was not like good at attending.
Yeah.
I was skipping out to go play drums. Oh, I was playing drums with you. Not that I was skipping out. I guess every college kid out there's got their nightlife, and that was mine. You know, my weekend nightlife was being with the band.
We got together, even though I met you when you were a freshman, we didn't really get together with Travis until after you graduated.
Travis, he and I were joined at the hip, man. We were best friends.
Yeah.
So if he had an idea, it became my idea.
I approached him about playing music, and then he goes, "Hey, yeah, we can get Jason to play drums."
I never played a kit in my life, but played for 1 year in the drum line in school, marching band, and it was just a little bass drum, so it wasn't real complicated. We first tried to sit down and play a little music for fun in the garage. I did not have a drum set.
Oh.
You actually asked me to play bass
on
a Casio keyboard, and I did it one finger at a time.
This isn't working out. Can you play something else?
You had a friend that found a drum kit, or had a drum kit, and he was
Yeah.
willing to.
Thanks, Scott.
He was
Jason?
Yeah, Scott Carpenter. He was willing to donate it to the cause.
Oh man, he needed a drum set, and I love you guys.
Kind of self-taught, and back then there was no YouTube.
And under the gun because you were already in a band.
Yeah, you're gonna do this, right? Yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can.
Is like our earliest show was what?
Was New Year's Eve in Sacramento. And,
So Scott Carpenter gave us drums and said, "Hey, come and play with me and
Yeah.
do a show on New Year's Eve. No pressure."
right.
How does the bassoon come into play? How did you? Because we have one song, right? We only have one song.
One song with the bassoon. Well, there were a couple, and I think I played it on Reach as well.
Oh.
Mostly Isaiah. Bassoon was my primary instrument.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's what got me a scholarship into college in the music department.
Wow, that's amazing.
Ferdinand Joe. He, I think it was my third year in school there. he moved into the same dorm room with me. We became friends. We were roommates. He had a lot of bizarre talents.
Yeah.
I mean, he could do all kinds of things. I mean,
I think he came in to play bass originally, right?
because we were needing a bass player.
We constantly needed a bass player.
He's got so many talents. I've always been impressed with him. Not just musically. I mean, anything he puts his hands on,
Yeah.
he excels at.
Right?
Well, most of my music exposure, all through high school and everything, because I really wasn't a believer, I think, until almost my senior year in high school.
Yeah.
It was just whatever was on the radio, top 40.
Did you have a stigma of, like, once you became a believer of, secular music versus Christian music? Because that was a big thing back then.
But what I noticed of someone that didn't grow up as a Christian, so they hadn't listened to Christian music very long, what I noticed that there was a huge quality difference between what was mainstream commercial and these underground bands that were coming up. I wasn't into the scene like you were. Like it was what, 2 or 3 times a month or whatever shows going on, all the time. and I was more interested in ones that I knew their music more. Well, you guys handed me tapes and stuff, and
one of the tapes that we passed around big time was Poor Old Lou. So we knew about them way before they were able to put out CDs and become the force that they became.
Right.
And my first wife actually did a review in a magazine of them, and they credit her for exposing them to the world. And
well, I got their CD after a while, but I think there is just an underground movement of Christians that were making music, trying to be different in the world, different from the mainstream. First Christian music that I seriously bought was Maranatha Praise Band.
Yeah.
It was praise music from church, and it was what I was a new believer, and I was like wanting to drown in this stuff, just suck it all in.
Right.
So it was all those praise choruses and stuff, and Maranatha and whatever they were doing at Harvest.
Maranatha music, and then like the mainstream readily available. It was stuff like Amy Grant, Brian Duncan, and then some of the cooler ones. Even the Frontline came out, and they got to be a little bit cooler. Steve Taylor was a little bit kind of new wave. Krumbacher.
Okay.
Petra.
Petra and the Petra Praise was one that was not pushed on me, but Travis's mom.
Don't include me in it. My mom is not included in it, but
kind of got me into that.
But they were all still just a little bit dated.
Yeah. Right. I forgot about Altar Boys.
Yeah. I saw Mike Stant from Altar Boys. He went to Riverside Community College, like I did. And I saw him one day, and I asked him, hey, what advice would you give me? Play anywhere and everywhere, man. That was his advice to me. Mike Stant. Great name for a lead singer of a band, by the way, right? Best. Mike Stant.
Altar Boys.
Mad at the World.
Mad at the World. Violet Burning.
Violet Burning. We started getting The Crucified.
Yes.
Undercover. And then
Prayer Chain.
Prayer Chain, yeah. I actually opened up for Prayer Chain before by myself.
Because we were at Knott's Berry Farm, or what?
Maybe that was the time when you guys were at Knott's Berry Farm.
Wow.
But I did. I must have done
So
okay
late.
because some kid came up afterwards and was like, "Dude, what advice would you give somebody just starting out?"
But they were, like you said, we were a little bit late, and they were riding that wave.
Yeah.
And someone would really been able to take off because of that.
Right.
We were swimming behind the wave a little bit and couldn't catch up.
Yeah, we never caught up. That era definitely was pioneered by Mike Knott and Lifesavers Underground, and he was sort of like goth / punk rock, I guess.
Yeah.
Was Mike Knott and LSU as big of influence on, for you as he was for me?
He was much more an influence on you. I know that, and because You repeatedly told me so. You know, I don't know if you could say that there was an actual anybody that was an influence besides you.
That's interesting.
So maybe you being influenced by Not, had influenced me.
And I feel like we necessarily did emulate Altar Boys and Mad at the World.
I'm going to have to say it's more or less because of my ignorance.
Yeah.
That we knew it was out there, and you had written songs, and we just kind of like, we made it up ourselves, basically.
They just came out the way they came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it just became what it was. You can tell over the years too that there was an actual shift towards making it more complicated, and not necessarily complicated, but more stylistic, more refined into what I guess Beauty for Ashes became. I mean,
at some point, right? We had Travis, me, and you.
Yeah.
At some point, we added Joe.
Right.
But it's fitting that you're the first interview of sorts,
right?
Because you were there with me on that from day one.
Try and sit down and think of everyone that ever played with us or sang with us. It's quite a long list.
Right.
We had Anna Lee on the demo that I can remember. Then we went through a time of looking for bass players. We got this one guy that came in on one rehearsal weekend, and he wanted us to play Primus. And then he just packed his stuff up and left.
I think you're talking about Toby.
Maybe.
And I think you're talking about, I don't like you guys because you don't sound like Stone Temple Pilots.
Right.
Which is bizarre. Why do you want to sound like a specific band?
Right.
At least like stylistically, maybe a little bit heavier, but no, Stone Temple Pilots. But remember the guy that, I forget who brought him. I think it was Joe. And he played keyboard.
Yes.
And we were like, no, we need a bass player.
I remember I think his name was Isaiah.
Yeah.
If I remember that right.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. And I do remember him making our music all of a sudden sound churchy. Whatever it was all the...
We were trying to get out of the keyboard, like
right.
new wave, and we were trying to be like really natural.
Well, his style wasn't even new wave. All of a sudden, we were going to become Maranatha. I mean, it was Michael W. Smith, his style.
Yeah,
it didn't blend at all.
But we were a family, so we ended up adding, so after we fired...
Because we were paying them.
We fired Isaiah.
Right.
So who did we end up... I don't remember his name, but he's the guy with the red hair, and he's the one that's responsible for the song that's like, you can't come over to my house, my dog will hump your leg.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that guy?
I do remember him. He's the one that had the little sister that sang a song with us once.
Yeah, and he
Lion of Judah.
I don't know. He had his wife was always with him, and he would rock out on the bass, man. He would like move.
Jason and
all the Jasons.
Jason and Becky McReynolds, and Becky sang with us a little bit too.
Yes. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
And Becky was the one that was like supposedly friends and had gone to high school with the guy from No Doubt and this and that. Yeah. Jason and Becky McReynolds. And he became like a youth pastor or a pastor of a church or something.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And we played at his church, I think. One time. We did a show there.
Really?
Yeah. I'm thinking of a blonde-haired guy that played bass.
Oh, you're thinking of Jason Dean.
It was Jason Dean. Is he the one? Is he the one that had the little sister?
Probably that.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There's a lot I don't remember. But Jason Dean was a DJ on the Christian radio station. And he would keep it like on the DL, but I remember me and Anna Lee went down and sang on the radio station. And we sang on 2 radio stations.
Yeah, we sang at the University of Riverside radio station.
Yeah, because I remember she was definitely a groupie. Right? Well, but do you know where Amber Meest is? You say Meist?
I think she's in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. From what I remember, she's like,
Okay.
I don't know if she's over in the Portland area. No, but I even gave her a link to one of the songs that we had just done too.
Yeah, and she commented, so that was great.
Yeah. Really, her and Joe are probably the only two that I've kept in contact with besides yourself.
And then we had Lauren Taylor, and that was after we lost Amber Meese. We got Kate York for a while. She actually went on to be a pretty successful recording artist in Nashville, and wrote songs for like Fall Out Boy and stuff. Lauren Taylor, Nary sang back Julie Tree Rise. Lauren Taylor was like a legit member for a long time, but
We had one, I told you this, and you didn't remember her, but there was one young lady that sang with us, never did a show, but she rehearsed about 3 or 4 times with us, and she was really enjoying it. Her name was Darla, named after the girl from the Little Rascals.
Really?
And she had a great voice. It turned out her husband was a sheriff or something and kind of jealous about her going out on weekends, and that he put a stop to that. Didn't want her. She lived in Norco, and I'd pick her up at the In-N-Out and take her to Burbank.
and she was really enjoying it.
Yeah, she was enjoying it, and it's sad because she was the one that we were sitting down messing with that one song, and came up with all these harmonies. And then Aaron said, "Oh, it sounds like a barbershop quartet."
Oh, no. You don't remember which song?
I don't remember which song. It was something we were working on that was new at the time. But her name was Darla, and she was a very good vocalist, but never got to do a show with us.
Well, eventually what happened was my first wife, Erin Bacon, picked up the bass, and she was happy playing bass. You remember at what point we added Brian?
I remember when we added him, it definitely opened up our sound a lot.
Well,
Because-
I would just play rhythm guitar.
Yeah, because he'd play some lead. He had some color, and just
Yeah.
like different effects, and
It just put us on a different level.
Yeah.
For sure.
grateful for his addition to the band. He added a great dynamic to the whole sound.
Well, and he wrote music too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he definitely wrote Epiphany, didn't he? He had a good guitar part, or
All I did on that is I wrote the lyrics with Aaron on that. And You guys did the rest.
yeah.
He wrote Solace of Solitude. And Amber Meese sang that song. I had
The
nothing-
last song on the Black Fades album.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with that. But a lot of the licks and a lot of the guitar parts, especially on collab stuff.
I remember we did our first show with him, and I don't remember where it was. I don't know. Was his first show Sacramento too? But the second time we went there,
The second time.
and that was his
I don't
first
know
show. I just
about the
remember
first
him
show.
I just remember when he did his first show with us. He was like, "That's when it really hit me, man." It was like, "Yeah, this is really happening," Yeah, he was pretty cool. I like Brian a lot.
Yay.
And lose yourself.